Can you all hear me? I'm just going to test this first because I've had a few technical problems this morning, for which I apologise for. And you know, one of the things I actually hate is actually being late. One of the things you tend to find that, particularly when I talk about impact, the marketplace doesn't really care that you've had technical issues. It doesn't really care about what's going on around. It only cares of what it sees in front of them. And actually going live literally 22 minutes late is normally quite unacceptable. However, we are here. So it has been a hell of a week, and it's already started like that this morning. I've had the flu for a week. I've had the luxury of being bedbound with the flu, and also with a problem with my foot, so I haven't been able to actually walk. But enough about me on that level. It's been an interesting week because we've seen Donald Trump being inaugurated, and we have also seen a number of protests all around the world protesting against his disapproval. So, excuse me. So what I found is quite interesting is, so one thing I actually find quite interesting about all this is I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. I didn't get these protests. And it's not about and I don't want to make this a political discussion as such, although I am going to overlap on it, I'm afraid. But please bear with me, because I actually put up a post on the weekend stating that I did not get these protests around the world about Donald Trump. You know, I believe in the freedom of having a democratic vote, and people who particularly won that freedom went and actually exerted their freedom, but they didn't really accept the result, in effect. So that's how I saw it. But I did get a barrage of comments. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that I wasn't going to get any of those comments or some rebuttal over a lot of them, because the content was quite topical and in some ways quite controversial to certain people. So I did this, and I attempted to answer as many of them as possible. But what was really fascinating was some of the replies I had, and not everybody seemed to actually fully understand what it was all about either. You know, there wasn't any clarity or any unity in terms of why they were there. They all had very, very different reasons for believing that they were there. But I want to get away from that for 1 second and to really talk today about what is about point of view, about the different points of view that we actually see certain things. Now, I probably don't, I'm sure we all know who Walt Disney is, and we all know what the Walt Disney World in Florida is, and the whole brand. And one of the things that actually made Walt Disney such an incredible visionary, or such an incredible, or have such a successful enterprise, or the start of it, anyway, because he's not around, you know, for a long time. But one of the things that he actually did is he actually allowed to see things from different points of view, and he had this concept called the 3 rooms, in effect. And the first room was the dreamer room, which is a room where people discuss about things as, why not? Why can't it make it happen? You could actually put the most ludicrous ideas into that room and no one would question it. All you did was come up with ideas. And then you had the second room, which was the realist room, and this was about making those dreams, or what came out of the dreaming room, to actually happen. How could we actually make this work? And they did this without any filters, of any criticism or anything like that. They just had free rein on how they can come up with a plan on how to make this dream, no matter how ludicrous, to actually work. And then they had the spoiler room, and this is where you actually had how they critiqued it. You know, this is where they actually put the obstacles in the way and they put all the issues in the way. And his thinking behind that was, by doing it in 3 different rooms, what happens is you're actually allowed a lot more freedom to actually come up with those answers, as opposed to actually having it all in one room, and the idea would have got quashed right at the beginning. It wouldn't even have got off the ground. So by doing that, it just gave them a lot more flexibility, a lot more freedom to actually see things from different points of view. And funny enough, the things that actually lasted right towards the end, or the products or the concepts that actually survived all 3 rooms, then usually they worked on how to make it a reality. Because I mean, if you think about logically, how do you actually make something like Walt Disney work, and which now has 56 million odd people a year? Hello, Frank, Emma, and how many of so when you think about everything that happened and the concepts, if you put a reality into it and you put the criticals and the spoilers into it, chances are Walt Disney World would never have been created. But there it is. It's existing. It's got 56 million people are going there every single year. It's one of the biggest symbols of America. It's one of the biggest symbols around the world, and Europe in particular, as well. So, there's a lot of thing about seeing things from all different angles, and I think that's where many people get it wrong, particularly in their businesses, and particularly and looking at the political arena and the scenario right now regarding Donald Trump. And for a minute, I'm going to ask you to put all your feelings to one side about Donald Trump, whether you like him or whether you don't, and actually look at what he's actually achieved, and look how he actually achieved it. And I know people are actually very passionate about their feelings towards him. And what I wanted to say is that after he got inaugurated, there was all these protests. I didn't get it. I'm not going to lie to you, I did not get it. And I had a lot of people who I hugely respect disagreed with me, but I still don't get it. I also had a lot of people who had agreed with me. But one thing I really wanted to do, because when people are emotionally connected and passionate about this, they don't really see things from very different angles. And I'm not going to say he was the right choice, although I believe he was, if you actually wanted this level of change. But look, what was the alternative? What was the alternative? Hillary was the alternative? We don't know. And it's never going to happen either. But one thing that really happened to me, which I was quite surprised about, and quite disgusted actually, I'm going to say, is that I had this lady who, I'm not going to say lady, this person actually made this, she actually took herself out of the whole thread of what I listed and started a whole new thread by putting it into my personal Facebook page. And what she did was she tagged every single person who disagreed with me. Alright, so she could actually get just one point of view. So basically what she did was she looking to get all these people just to gang up on me and actually discredit me. And I'm open to criticism. I'm open to people disagreeing with me. I think the only way the world would be a better place if we actually challenge people's certain answers, and that way we can actually find the middle ground. But she didn't want to do this. She wanted to discredit me in such a way by targeting everybody, tagging everybody. So all she got was one point of view, one biased point of view from a group of people who disagreed with me. She wasn't willing to listen to anybody else, which shows a really sort of narrow-minded attitude and character towards someone. And so she did that, and I actually wrote a reply, and it's on not on my Facebook page. I've written a blog about it, which is actually going to go up on Facebook very shortly. And what she did was I answered it, and what she did was she then took the post down because no one actually then commented it from her side, and a couple of people who disagreed with her then commented. Because let's face it, from a character point of view, it's a really shallow, cowardly way to do things. And I can tell you for a start, a person like that is really going to struggle to actually have any success. One, because they only see one point of view, amongst all the other things that she actually did, but because she's not willing to see the bigger picture. All she saw is one side of it, and that's all she wanted to see. She wasn't willing to see anybody else's. So I did reply to her as eloquently as I possibly could, and within a few short hours she took it down. And that was it. Because the thing is, if you are going to put your head above the parapet, you've got to deal with the consequences of what's going to come with it. Because there's two types of people. There's the whingers around there, and then there's the winners around there. Now, people, I had someone say to me, actually, Andy, you should be careful what you say because you're going to lose customers. But here's the thing, she was not my ideal customer. Because the thing is, I'm looking for people who I work with to have some element of backbone. And she just had no backbone whatsoever. And I just want to move on from there, because it was quite distasteful. But if you are going to do anything in your business, you need to be able to see it from very different angles. It's one of the things I actually covered. It's one of the reasons why I wrote the impact profile, is so I could see things from very different angles and not just one-sided. You see, you have to have a look at 6 different areas to actually make an impact. From the level of influence you have, from the marketing you do, from your personality, from your appearance, your communication, the level of tenacity and character that you actually have. All this combined is what will actually get you to actually make an impact. Which will lead you to actually become a winner. And so on that respect, you've got to be able to see things, because let's face it, the buyer will have a different point of view from the seller. The engineer will have a very different point of view from the marketer, and the person who's doing all the technical work in the background is going to actually have a very different view as well. And unless you see all aspects and get them to work together to create a proper system, then what's going to happen is that you are not going to actually see the bigger picture. Hi Clive, hi Lazaro. Okay, so I hope there's some clarity there for you. So again, putting Donald Trump to one side, or putting his views to one side, he is president. He is going to run this country. People should challenge him. But the thing is, you've got to allow to see every single point of view, not just the one or the two things that he actually does, or the other politicians are actually doing. See the bigger picture. Otherwise, you will never really actually have a clear understanding of how you're going to move forward in business or in your life, for that matter. I hope you've all got some value from that. I apologise that I was actually late, and I will speak to you next week. Thank you very much. Good luck, guys. Bye-bye.